Hi, this is my micro teaching. Today we're going to be learning about crafting cohesive arguments for 8th grade, 9th grade. So, class, turn and talk to each other. Let's figure out, is it better to be good at academics or sports? Turn and talk, you have 30 seconds. Okay. And then I would ask some of the students, what'd you think? And then I would get to hear some of their arguments. Okay. Next one. What should schools add to the curriculum? A survival and disaster class or a home ec class? Which would be better for society to have taught in schools? Turn and talk, 30 seconds. And then, they would turn and talk, and then we would talk about it again. And the last one. Should students be allowed to use curse words in the classroom? Turn and talk, 30 seconds with your tables. and we would have discussion about it. Notice how we argue in everyday life. What do you think makes someone a better arguer? And I would cold call people. I would just be like, hey, what do you think? And we would talk about it. So today, we will analyze argument examples, looking for the components of a supported, valid, strong argument. And eventually, we will apply these tactics to argue a thesis statement with at least 3 strong supporting claims. So class, this is what our final project is going to be. Make sure we're going to pass out our notes sheet now, and then we would get into lecture. Why learn argument? Argumentative speeches take place in many different contexts for many different reasons. So this is where we would see real argument taking place. For example, in politics, this is especially important. There's an ad. And we would watch this clip of Obama and Romney.
Lifetime limits. They have to let you keep your kid on your insurance plan until you're 26 years old. And it also says that you're going to have to get rebates if insurance companies are spending more on administrative costs and profits than they are on actual.
So, what did we notice about the way Brock was speaking to his opponent? It was very respectful. He used very clear, concise language and tone. And let's see a little further how is he interacting with his opponent. Very respectful, a little camaraderie, very professional. Then we would talk about how our speech is meant to motivate people. How can they be used to move an audience? Here's our example. It is from Avengers Endgame.
Today we have a chance to take it all back. You know your teams, you know your missions. Get the stones, get them back.
We would watch a little more of the clip, but so what did you notice about Captain America's tone? What words did he use? What was his goal? Was it made clear? How is it made clear? We would call on students for that too. Debate can display research and inform an audience. This is really important too. Watching a TED Talk.
If you're not prepared to be wrong, and by the time they come in bearing gifts and they bring gold, frankincense, and myrrh. This really happened. We're sitting there, and they, I think, just went out of sequence because we talked to the little boy afterwards and said, "Are you okay with that?" And they said, "Yeah. Why was that wrong?" just switched. I think that was it. Anyway, the three boys came in, little 4-year-olds with tea towels on their heads, and they put these boxes down. The first boy said, "I bring you gold." And the second boy said, "I bring you mare." And the third boy said, "Frank sent this."
Now, this is an educational speech, but notice how he's using humor and he's using wordplay to make sure his audience is captivated and engaged. What did you notice about the way he was standing, the way he was using his hands? Tell me about his tone. Tell me something you noticed from his speech, the language he was using. And then finally, debate can be used to persuade.
Get 30 to 50% off almost everything.
There's an ad again.
Hold on, so let's just back up a second. When you step aside, I got this. Captain, what about the Halloween heist?
I'll just come in and win it and then go back to my house.
Damn it, I'm out.
Jake,
All right, fine. Sir, do you know why I love coming to work?
Because there's a bumper pool table in the break room.
Yes, obviously, I love the bumper pool table, but...
So right now they're trying to convince their captain to stay
Maybe a better cop,
their
maybe a
captain.
better person. I've learned so much from you. So you can't quit. Because I need you.
Oh, please. How selfish.
Uh,
That little speech you just gave. It was all about you and what you need. How unbelievably selfish.
Okay, well, I don't want to get mad right now because I know Amy's worried about you.
no, screw that noise. How dare you call Jake selfish? He just wasted his entire honeymoon trying to take care of you while you wallowed in your misery like a little baby.
Well, that seems a little
So
hard.
we would watch a little more of that. We would get more into Amy's side of things, but what was their tone like? Was there concern? Was there worry? Was there a sense of urgency? What? Let's like notice the circumstances too. You know, he's like on the bed, but they're standing over him and they're forcing him to listen to them. What do you think about that? What do we think about the language they were using, their tone? Amy, the woman in red, seemed very passionate about what she was saying. She was using some pretty strong language. It's like, what words signify strong language there, and why is it important when persuading an audience? So then we're going to get into our notes sheet a little more. The principles of argument are opinions versus facts, word choice, body language, fallacies, transitional phrases, and research. Opinion versus fact. Opinions express a feeling, an attitude, a personal judgment, or belief. They can be true or false depending on the person. Facts are statements that can be verified through objective evidence. Do we all understand this? Does this make sense? Any questions? Okay, let's try it. Here's a few statements. Let's see, class, if this is a fact or an opinion. Cows are herbivores and primarily eat grass and other plant-based foods. Can someone tell me if this is an opinion or a fact? Okay. Cows are very intelligent and emotional creatures. Is this a fact or an opinion? Why is it a fact or opinion? Watching cows graze in a field is peaceful and relaxing. What do we think? And then cows can recognize up to 50 different individuals, including other cows and humans. Is this a fact or an opinion? And why? I would cold call. I'd just call on them. And then how does fact and opinion affect argument? Facts and opinions can be used to sway an audience. Now, what does this mean? To sway an audience. This means to move them one way or another, make them feel a type of way. Sometimes speakers will use data and facts to sound more convincing, even if this data doesn't really matter. So this is a fallacy. It's a way that people can make their argument sound better. They can say like, oh, if they're arguing for you to be vegetarian, they could say like, oh, 80% of meat has more fat than protein, and it's actually unhealthy for you. Now that's like not true, but you know, it's a statistic that makes it sound like their argument is more convincing. And yeah, I'm gonna teach that for micro teaching. And yeah, thank you.